Hello, and welcome to Four Wives on the Mic presents Wives' Tales, a weekly podcast which features adapted tales from the lives of real women. Each story is anonymous and merely a snapshot into the life of what it's like to be a real wife today. Some of the stories are from lives of women who previously were married, who are currently married, or on the way to being married. This week's tale is based on the life of a real working woman today, a wife, a mother, and she is currently on the front lines of this global pandemic that is affecting us all. I had to rewrite this week's tale to reflect the time. Please stay safe, stay indoors, and I hope you enjoy the tale. My name is Mrs Nikki Tunji. This week's tale is called Soul Food Rewritten. Soul Food Rewritten. 4:30 a.m. The alarm goes off. In the distance, she can hear the ringing, feel the buzzing. 4:45 a.m. The sun is yet to rise. She opens her eyes, struggling to adjust to the dim light. With a head full of clouds, she slowly rises, careful not to disturb her sleeping giant. She unwraps herself from beneath his heavy body and begins the process of waking up. She turns the taps, listens as the water climbs up through the pipes. She watches the water make its descent. Taking her time, she steps into the falling water, reveling in the warmth of the liquid gold as it touches her naked body. Damn! An intruding thought throws her out of the moment. She had forgotten to iron her uniform. She grudgingly turns off the taps and slides the shower door open, bracing herself for the rush of the cool morning air that always waited to greet her. 5:45 a.m. Hair, done. Makeup, light, done. The 15 minutes she would have dedicated to breakfast has to now be spent on making sure her uniform was well straightened and prepped for the day. She quickly and quietly makes her way through the assault course that is her bedroom, twisting and turning, contorting to avoid a hung shirt, a tie, several shoes, and once out the room, the loose floorboard, the fourth step, until finally downstairs, away from the sleeping heads still snoring away in their beds. She knows it will be a long day, and by the time she returns, both her babies will be again sleeping soundly, part of the sacrifice she must make. In the dim light, she makes out a silhouette, hung on the living room door. He had ironed it for her. She beamed. He had gifted her time for breakfast. 6:45 a.m. Finding parking is always a chore. She considers leaving the car on the side road, but would have to walk 20 minutes to get back to work. Or risking a ticket by parking right in front of the entrance. She risks it, running in for a handover from the night team. She hates having to start so early, hates leaving her kids, leaving him, but she does love her job. She loves talking to people, working towards a common goal, making a difference, feeling wanted. 7:45 a.m. Sometimes she hates this job. All the red tape, too few beds, too little funding, aggression, misunderstandings, all a constant battle in this job. 8:45 a.m. She's working in fear. She can smell it in the air, taste it. Their words littered with anger at the growing uncertainty. Morning management meeting interrupted by an emergency. Shuffle rounds of departments, frantic calls to seniors. Barely into her day and things are looking increasingly dire. One bed left on her ward. Another 2 nurses down. She's going to have to be on the floor. Non-stop. It's all non-stop. Non-stop. 10:45 a.m. Another managers' meeting. Decisions have to be made. Lives depend on it. She only recently got this managerial position, hoping for more time with her family, more choice in the direction of her career. 12:45 p.m. Her feet were burning now. Emergency call. These emergencies had become increasingly frequent in recent days. She had become worried and crippled with fear, as more and more was being asked of her and her team. At times like these, she held on to him, the thought of him, their children, and the future they had mapped out for each other. That always gave her that lift that she needed. Meeting when only 17, both were the only love each other had ever known. 20 years later, a life with him was all she knew, all she wanted. He had this magical way of making everything okay, just by smiling. That's why she had a picture of him as her screensaver. A constant reminder on her phone of their perfectly sweet life together. No matter how far she went, she always had his smile beaming back at her. 2:45 p.m. 2 missed calls from him. No time to respond. 4:45 p.m. She stares at the dull, monotone sandwich. Even the lettuce had lost its vibrant green and now appeared a brownish grey, soggy and wet. She imagined herself on the island, enjoying a fish fry. Her mouth salivated at the thought of freshly grilled marlin as wave crashed against the shore, tucking into some homemade coleslaw and macaroni cheese, while some distant speakers blasted out old-school soca tunes. She took a bite of her chicken mayo, disappointed as she knew she would be. It tasted as dull and bland as it appeared. She thought of home and the mess the 2 young ones would be making. She thought of him, waiting for his dinner, picking at leftovers before she arrived. Another interruption. Returned the sandwich to its place in her bag. 6:45 p.m. Walking around the ward, she anticipated the drive home. Her bags already packed. With a heavy head, she hands over to the night team. Tired and emotional, she makes the long journey home. There had been no time for lunch, no time to check in with him. She's late home. He wouldn't be happy. She hadn't prepared dinner either the night before. She was sure she could quickly put something together. She just wanted to get in. She wanted to take off her shoes, take off her tights, just to relax and unwind. 8 p.m. She pulls up to her house. The windows are all lit up. She can see his shadow as he crosses the kitchen. She sits still for a moment, turns off the engine. She enjoys the silence, closes her eyes. Then slowly she lifts her tired, aching body out of the car. She approaches the front door. With a sigh, she opens it, pushes the door open, and is greeted with silence. There is no screaming, no crying, no squeals, no clanking of plastic on plastic or jostling of little arms. He's in the doorway, with a smile. "Hey, babe," he says with a deep tone and that beautiful smile across his lips. "I thought you needed a night off, so I left work early and put the kids to bed early. Come through," he says, arms outstretched, reaching for her bags. Suspicion in her eyes. She slowly walks into the living room. It's spotless. No toys, no mess. "I made you some catfish pepper soup. I don't want you getting ill now." Without saying another word, she falls into his arms, resting her head on his chest. Her heart filled. That story is dedicated to all the wives and mothers and husbands and boyfriends and you know, all the men and women out there on the front line who are doing such a fantastic job. Thank you so much for actually putting your lives at risk to help people who are currently unwell or are in danger of being unwell. You know, this is for the nurses, the doctors, social workers, the OTs, the truck drivers, the cashiers, the checkouts. Yeah, thank you all so much. So excuse the noises if you did hear any in the background. Everybody is at home because we are all staying home and staying safe, which means there is no downtime for this mama. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, we do have the Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. Thank you again for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed the tale. Please stay safe, wash your hands, and stay indoors.